Good to see you.
Alright, Revenants, welcome back to Code Vein, and today we are going to analyze the big boy boss Juzo Mido himself, the most evil henchman to ever have walked the red mist of Vein. Okay, so let's talk about his. We've got a lot to talk about, but this guy took me hours and hours to actually get all the data here for you guys. A lot of death, both on the level 1 and the max level here to bring, the most accurate information here for you guys. So we'll start with phase 1 and kind of what's going on, and then we'll go to phase 2. We'll talk about HP, we'll talk about statuses, and then we'll talk about numbers at the end and some of the thresholds that you're kind of locked into here at the max level to get to that one-shot territory, as there's a very unique kind of development that surrounds that. So we can go ahead and start on his resistances. So for his resistances in phase 1, on a weapon strike, he has, for slash, he has a 25% resistance. For crush and pierce alike, he has a 10% resistance. So definitely want to go for pierce or crush versus him. And his elements are, he has a blood of 70% resist. He has an ice, fire, and lightning of 20% resist on all three. Each of them all share the same amount of resist. So if we go for the pipe here, you'll notice that it has a damage of 100. So this is very nice and simple and easy to check the damage number on it. And so our value is 100, and our first strike has a 90% modifier. So times 0.9 times 0.9, we should expect a value of 81. So let's go ahead and see here. And not during the damage reduction phase. His damage reduction phase has a, let's see, 12 was that? So 100, 12 divided by this thing. So he has an 85% damage reduction here. So remember, the value we're looking here for is 81. If I don't get smashed in the face. And indeed, there's 81. Okay, and then for pierce, our hammer that we have attached is at 810. Let me see here. So 810 and times, and the impulse anchor has a 100% modifier for the first strike, so you can take whatever value it is. And so we should see 729 on the hammer, if I don't get smashed in the face here. Okay, and switch. Okay, and 729, there it is. So crush and pierce share a 10% reduction, whereas slash is a 25% reduction. Okay, let's head on out of here. Good, he missed me, haha. Okay, so phase 1 is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, pretty easy. So you definitely want to just go for as much crush damage and as much pierce damage as you can possibly go for. Now, if you are getting into the element space, as I mentioned, that he has 20% resistance on ice, fire, and lightning. If you can go above 20%, if you can go above 20%, you can actually get some damage out. However, how the resistance formula works for elements is it's all your physical damage times the parentheses of 1 plus 20% from the blood weapon or from the fire weapon here on these damage buffs, but then it subtracts his resistance, so minus 20%. So if you do lightning, you would add 20%, then you would subtract 20% for his lightning resistance, and so then you would be at a wash. So if you could add lightning onto your weapon and then add lightning weapon, you could actually get a 40% added to your damage. Then you would subtract his 20%, so you could get a 20% increase. So that's one way to go about it. So something like this here, where this is already up a 40%. Then if you apply the lightning weapon buff, this would go to a 90 here, which would be a 60% increase, and then minus his 20%, so you have a 40% increase to your damage just because of this lightning pipe here. So you gotta really pay attention to what kind of elements you're doing. It's not impossible to use elements against him, but it's most discouraged on your weapons if you're going for physical damage, which I would recommend going for physical damage. So phase 1 is pretty straightforward. Stack up the crush or the pierce damage and go all the way there. So for one-handed weapons, the only options you have though are the pipe, which is why I'm kind of showing it. And the other option that you have for crush damage is, if you remember from the other day, we discussed the Argent Wolf Blade, and this is a crush weapon as a weapon striking pattern. And so if you're going for the Argent Wolf Blade, you can definitely put out some good damage on him with this, because it does all crush damage during the weapon strikes only. So it's a great way, to get a one-handed weapon and at the same time play towards his lesser resistances than into the higher resistances. So if you go for any other of these one-handed weapons here in the one-handed weapon tree, you will be getting a 25% reduction on your damage just because you're going for a slashing weapon. Okay, so those two are good. And his statuses, he's most weak to slow, followed by poison, and followed by inhibit. And he's immune to stun. So you definitely don't want to be running stun against him, but slow and poison are great options against him, as he does have some pretty quick attacks. And if you can slow him down considerably and then poison him at the same time, you get that free 15% damage out of poison because of the 30 seconds that it's applied. And with this guy, you need a lot of damage quickly. Now, for his HP at 0 star, he has about 44,600 HP. And at max HP, he has 108,800 HP. So here at max difficulty, at the highest star, you definitely want to try to hit 109,000 damage in order to one-shot him. But we'll talk about that later. So as we move into phase 2, if I go into phase 2, it's extremely brutal to get there, and that's why it took me so long. But he adds 10% resistance to slash, and he adds 5% resistance to crush and pierce. So for slash, he has a 35% resistance. For crush and pierce, it goes up to a 15% resistance. So you definitely want to still stick with crush and pierce, and in phase 2 for sure. And good piercing weapons would be the Cerulean Spear. You just go for the fortified version, that would be great. Another piercing weapon would be the Assassin Sickle, but this has ice attached to it, so that wouldn't be too great. The Black Halberd, however, would be a great weapon to use at certain points, but it does have some slashing patterns built into it, so not too great there. But the Impaler, this is one of the places where this weapon can shine, because it does a lot of piercing damage. So that's really great that it does pierce and on the regular weapon strikes, and you can definitely do some good damage with this, simply because it's one of the lesser resistances. But in phase 2, you definitely want to stay away from elements altogether. He has a 90% blood resist, he has a 40% ice, fire, and lightning resist on all 3 of those. So whatever hope you had in the first phase of running lightning weapons, pair it up with lightning weapon with an Isis Chrome, or I'm just picking lightning as an example here, and some kind of infusion to the weapon itself to get some kind of 60% damage increase with his resistance, you would be severely hampered in phase 2, going for any kind of elements. So he's very, 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 very resistant to elements. Definitely don't want to be doing that. His statuses stay the same in phase 2. There's no reason to change those, so definitely still slow and poison in phase 2. Definitely want to go for that. And if we look at the numbers that we need to go for, let's head back to the missile and let's look at the numbers that we need to get to in order to one-shot this guy, as it is very, 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 very unique in order to get a one-shot on him. The best blood code that you can go for is Queenslayer. There's nothing else that can get you close. You can try for Heimdall, but it's not in the cards to actually go for anything related to Heimdall for the attack. I can show you the Heimdall set if you would like to see it, but it is still kind of out there in the wilderness of what we need. So let's go for strength and dex, and I think we need a dex and mind. Oh, whoops! And we need this. I guess we can go for the alleviated or the intensified. Either way, and we need another mind here because we don't have a B plus of mind, so we will pick up something. It doesn't really matter which one. Sure, one. That's fine. Okay, great, great, great. And then here, this would be your steadfast strike, and this, and sure, this is all good. And we can't go for adrenaline because we need a B, which is why I would want a another, which is why I would want strength and dex here. So this would kind of have to be some menu manipulation here in order to get this to run. So we'll do it anyways. There we go. And then fortitude of a S, we would need something like a mind and fortitude here. We could go for that, and that would be fine. And here you would need Merciless Reaper, and we would need Flashing Fang, but again, you'd have to do some serious menu manipulations here to get everything active all at once. So this would be the Heimdall build with some serious passive manipulations here to get adrenaline going, as well as Flashing Fang, and come back to offensive order. And here you would be at a slow, so you would get a 10% movement increase out of mobility enhancer, so you wouldn't be able to get to that full 20%. So Heimdall is just shy of being awesome. But Queenslayer, on the other hand, this is the one and only definitive blood code that can one-shot Mido here at the highest difficulty. And let me show you some numbers so we can kind of see what we're working with here. So a good option would be, you would think would be the Juggernaut Sledgehammer. And most people typically, they put Survival Instinct rather than Swift Destruction, or they go for something in place of this. For example, here they might go for Survival Instinct and Swift Destruction and go for something like this, and go for menu manipulations in order to use, or they would go for something like this, the Noble Silver, and that would be kind of what they would run. So let's see here what this number would jump up to if we go ahead and use this for the Juggernaut Sledgehammer here at 2095. So that's a pretty bad number there. Okay, and if we go for this, okay, and now again we need to do menu manipulations here. Okay, and if we do this, and then we go for these down. Now we don't have Jack yet, so we'll look at the number here, and here we are at 9811. So 9811 is a pretty a pretty low number, and here for the Wrathful Balmung is 10,024. So again, the Wrathful Balmung is outpacing that guy. And here we would have to go for a mobility enhancer to get us that 20% increase here. But if we look here at our value and we pick up something like a Dex in Mind for the sledgehammer here, we're at 9583, and here we were at 9811. However, because we are pairing this here with Jack, which we haven't done yet. Oops, let's go ahead and rest at the missile so we don't die. The scaling value of a multiplicative value from the Dex here, it far outweighs the 250 weapon increase that you get from Survival Instinct. So it's in your best interest to not use Survival Instinct versus Mido. It's better to go for the multiplicative passives because the value that they jump to way later on. Okay, so if we bring Jack in now. Okay, where is Jack? Here we go.
Stay focused.
Alright, Jackie boy. I think this is my most favorite outfit for Jack, in the white with the red and black coat. Very cool. So if we go through our menu manipulations here again. Okay. And since, again, Mido has all the crazy here of his damage resistance and everything to elements, we have to go for full physical sets here. So let's look at these numbers and get an idea of what we're going to be jumping up to here for the sledgehammer. And one more, and this would be our number now. 18,263. So 18,263 is just shy. So we have to get this value here to at least 18,600. That is the goal. And the reason being is because 18,600, let me do the values here for you. So 18,600. And let's go ahead and heal. Oh, we have a few minutes, or a few seconds. 18,600 times 0.975 times 1.2 times 5, and that gets you to 108,810. So you have to get at least 18,600 because you multiply that then by 0.975 for the Merciless Reaper damage reductions. So you have a 0.9 multiplier because of his 10% crush resistance, but then you add to that 7.5% because that's 75% of his weakness, so it reduces his weakness by 75%, and then you add that to the 90%. So you're able to add 7.5% damage back from Merciless Reaper, which is great. And then you multiply by 1.2, which is your Swift Destruction bonus, and then you multiply by 5, which is your Steadfast Strike multiplier. So you have to have a value on the card listed of at least 18,600. If you don't get to 18,600, you cannot one-shot Mido on the hardest difficulty. And again, it needs to be all physical, because the moment you add in elements here, you take on his element resistances, which are extreme, and they will destroy your modifiers here unless you can get above 20% for ice, fire, and lightning, or 70% for blood, which is near impossible. But it can be done, but it's very, very difficult, and it's not even worth it. So remember, here on the card, if you can get the physical to 18,600, you can one-shot Mido if you run Merciless Reaper and you run Swift Destruction all the way to quick mobility, and you have Steadfast Strike. So those are the three or four requirements there that you need to have. And so if we look at the Argent Wolf Hammer, this comes in a very, very, very close second. So the Wrathful Balmung is a DLC weapon, and it is the definitive one-shot Mido device that we have available to us. A very, very, very close second is the Argent Wolf Hammer, and I will show you that value right now. So strength and dex, and here we need a dex in mind. So this set here, this is the definitive one-shot Mido setup here. You do not need survival instinct, as it does not yield the highest values possible. So here we look at this 2188, and from what I've been investigating here, you need at least 2190 or higher in order to get to that 18,600. So if we go ahead and look at this multiplier here. Okay. So the Argent Wolf Hammer, even though it comes in very, very close second here, we will see what the value is here with Jack. Okay. And it comes in at a value here of 18,272, which we will, we need this to be this one, and now that would get us, a little bit more here, 18,412 because of the Daybreak Thunderfang, and you need this to be either intensified or fortified, as they yield the same number. And here you can see that we're at 18,412, which is a great number. It's very, very close. But if we switch to two-handed weapons, the Wrathful Balmung comes in over 19,000. So we are able to one-shot very, very comfortably and easily with the Wrathful Balmung. I have that on the channel here, and the Argent Wolf Hammer, that will come in at 107,000, my goodness, I can't speak numbers. It'll come in at 107,710 damage, which will be just under his 108,800. But if we can count on about 1,000 damage from Jack, we can count it as a sort of pseudo one-shot. So we'll see what the Argent Wolf Hammer can do here, and based on rounding and how the game calculates and such, we might be able to get the 108,000. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll check it here, as I've not checked this hammer for a one-shot on Mido, but it's very, very, very close. I mean, all the numbers are very close here, and just based on how the rounding goes, it might indeed actually be a one-shot. So there's one weapon I know of for sure, absolutely, hands down. I've tested it, it's on the channel. I know it works, the math checks out, and it puts you up over the edge. Now, for one-handed builds, I would say something like a Prometheus with the Argent Wolf Blade, and if you go for poison, something like this here, and if you go for the Noble Silver Fortified, this setup here with a one-handed weapon, this would be excellent. To buff this up, go for the Argent Wolf Blade, go for a poison cartridge here, or a venom cartridge, and then this gift, instead of keeping it on blood sacrifice, I would go for a venom mark to get him poison, and then just slash him down with this crush blade, which will be excellent damage. And this can go over 3,000 with this set here, and so you will be striking for 3,000 about every hit, and it will go up by 5% every strike, and you can get a lot of strikes off in the first damage reduction phase. So you build up your damage about 40% in that damage reduction phase, and that will be a huge amount of damage increase, and you can get killer damage off of this set here. I'll put this build in the description as well if you guys want to try it out. The pipe build, which you've seen on the channel here when I did the 37-second pipe kill versus Mido, was EOS here, and you go for a gifted pipe, and it has to be a regular pipe, none of the element pipes. And so you would pick a gifted pipe like this, and you would pair up not with Jack, but you would pair with Eva, here for the EOS build, and this is a great fun exciting way, as it's got poison built in for that extra 15 to 30% damage that we don't need to worry about, and at the same time you get crazy damage off of the pipe and paired up with Eva. Now this does involve a lot of dodging and a lot of skill to not get hit, but I believe in you guys. I know you can do it. Okay, so those are the three blood codes I would recommend: Queenslayer, Prometheus, and Eos. There's not really anything else that I would say would be too excellent versus him. Probably a Bayonet would do really well, because they are piercing damage, and you can go for not Radiant Barrel, but you can definitely go for just regular charge shots and burst this guy down. Excuse me, with a intense bayonet setup. Probably something like Harmonia would be most excellent here. You could probably get off some really crazy damage numbers. I would do Harmonia and Jack, and you could really burst this guy down very quickly. So that, I guess that could be a third. I'll put a build together for that as well and include that in the description. So okay, let's go ahead and see what we can do here with the Argent Wolf Hammer, and see just how close. I mean, it will be literally on the edge of numbers here to see what this damage comes out to. So let's go ahead and get it going. All right, and we have to make sure that we actually hit him with Steadfast Strike, as if he dodges out of the way or something. So the strategy is to go behind him, make him turn around, and hit him from the back. Okay, good. And we are almost to, whoops, max max here. I didn't need to do that. Okay, and here we go, and let's go. All right, and make him turn around, hopefully. Stand behind him here. No, that's exactly what I didn't want. Okay, let me missile out. See, and there's a little bit of damage there that Jack did, so this might be a fake one-shot. But the numbers, based on just, calculator, they don't add up to the full amount of damage that you need to one-shot him, which is why I'm saying that it's so very close to the edge. You only need 1100 damage, 1090 damage actually, and if you can get that close, I mean, it's really just on the edge. So if you don't have DLC, you can still do this. You can still get really close. You won't have the Daybreak Thunderfang. You won't have the Wrathful Balmung. But this set here, and you could pair it with the Noble Silver Fortified, and that would get you really close to what we're doing here. But this is a much higher damage set than some of those other sets that you can go for. So let's go and see if we can actually get the attack here. Now, him dodging out of the way, that's a really unfortunate occurrence there, but hopefully we can get him to not do that. Okay, and let's go for this. Good. And this, and a gift accelerator here. Alright. Alright, and right here. Come on, man. Oh, we're dead. I don't know why he keeps dodging out of the way. A lot of the times he'll turn around, and that's what that's what we're going for. So Mido is, again, he's the worst henchman that ever walked the areas of Vayne, and that's why I despise him so much, because he just never plays nice. So hopefully we can hit him with the hammer here, because I want to see if it's a close enough one shot. And with the little bit of damage, like I said, I mean, all we need is about 1,000 damage out of Jack, and I have faith in him that he can maybe do about 500 damage, because Jack does Jack things when he's your AI partner.
That's a good idea.
but no problem there for Jack. But he is kind of a bumbling idiot when it comes to giving us aid. All right. Okay. And hopefully we can get it this time. And again, this just took way too long because you can see, you know, how he acts and what he's doing. It's a little crazy to get him to actually behave here. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so the Argent Wolf Hammer, with a little bit of damage from Jack there, actually is a one-shot. So we have two weapons now that we know are explicitly able and possible to one-shot him, which is great. And I know that the Juggernaut Sledgehammer cannot, because I've been there and I've tried it, and it just doesn't have the amount of damage available to it. So yeah, Argent Wolf Hammer intensified, and the Wrathful Balmung fortified. And as you can see here, this has less damage as a fortified, so you definitely want to go for the intensified if you go for the one shot. And for the Wrathful Balmung, it's just the opposite. The intensified is less, and the fortified is more. So keep that in mind when you go for the one shot here on Mido, as on the hardest difficulty. And you definitely want to be going for Crush, Pierce, and no other elements. So, anyways, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.